when I think of the chemistry of Sixx, I really think of Nicky off on one end, very, very experimental, and DJ off on the other side, really, really committed to the ultimate, performance, really getting that guitar solo exactly right. And then I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, both as a singer and as a producer, kind of keeping my eye on the target. And I think that that's what works so well about Sixx, is that there's this constant push and pull musically. And that really is what defines Sixx style. Because I'm a producer and I also mix records and happen to be the lead singer in a band, I get asked a lot what my favorite part of that is. And it's a great question, but it's a hard question to answer because they're all very, very different aspects of the music business. Out on stage you lose all control. You have no control over what happens. And here in the studio, you can keep on doing take after take after take. And live, you just don't have that option. Now that also makes it incredibly exciting. But when I was out on the road during Crew Fest, it was really the first time I had been out performing in a long time. Now DJ and Nicky had both been performing, for years. So there was one point, I think we were doing a show in LA actually, and I was so frustrated because my voice had cracked a couple of times, and they both pulled me aside and said, "You got to take your producer's hat off. You're a performer now." And it was great advice. And once I let go of it, I just had an absolute blast. Because I'm doing a lot of production in many different types of genres, when I come back around and sit down to write music for myself again, I bring all of these. It's kind of like traveling around the world and collecting different items everywhere you go, and you just throw them in your bag, and then when you get home it's just a constant reminder of where you've been. Well, that happens in music as well. So that actually happened between the Heroin Diaries soundtrack and This Is Gonna Hurt. We collectively just had all sorts of experiences in between those two records. So by the time it came time to sit down and make This Is Gonna Hurt, we ended up with a song on there that everyone calls the country song, this song called It Sure Feels Right, which isn't really a country song, but it certainly is influenced by, by me being here in the South and just by all of our love for different types of music. So it really does find its way back into what Sixx does. All these other bands that I work with, no matter what kind of music they're playing. I've always believed very strongly that bands should be able to laugh their way through the making of a record, because that's why we got into this business in the first place, was to love what we do and to have fun and to be able to say, man, I can't believe we get paid for this, When I was a young boy, my father was a painter, and his studio was so cool. It was just this big open space with canvases everywhere and just buckets of paint. And I used to go down there, and it was just like Wonderland to me. And I remember one day I was standing next to him, and I was watching him standing in front of his easel, and he was painting away, and all of a sudden he reaches down and he grabs his little the little paintbrush that he always used to sign his name, and he signs the bottom corner, and I said, "Dad, is it done?" And he looks at me, and I'll never forget this. He goes, "No, Jim, it's just beginning." His involvement in that painting was over, but now it was time for everybody to interpret that painting, and that interpretation and reinterpretation will go on for the rest, long after all of us are gone. And I never forgot that, and it worked its way into my career. You could go on and on forever working on a project, and at some point you do have to sign your name to it. You do have to let go, and you do have to put it out there. And I think that's a lesson for all of us, to know when it's time to just let go, to know when it's time to just say, my participation in this song is over. It's time for all of you to pick up and run.